season.
Definitely. I mean, we're talking about a team that was a playoff team with John Wall, and we got a chance to see everybody contribute this year that we wanted to. And now I think honestly, losing John Wall was the best thing that happened to us this year. And I only say that because it gave us a chance to get some of those other guys. Getting Porter and Oubre, two guys that I really loved. I love their game. But for them to kind of move on and for us to get Bobby Porter Jr. and
Jabari Parker.
Sorry.
Jabari Parker and Bobby Porter.
Yeah, Jabari Parker and Bobby Porter.
I got you.
Try saying that 10 times too fast. Yeah, sorry. But to get those two guys and replace for them, and Parker's a guy that's coming off the bench, too.
Yeah.
You talk about a guy that's averaging 20 points coming off the bench. I mean, you talk about a guy that can knock down a shot. You talk about a guy that can take anybody to the hole. I didn't realize he was that good he's so fast, and he gets up so quick, too. It is crazy.
He's only going to get better because he's still getting recovery from that knee injury. It's going to get healthier and healthier. And that kind of segues ourselves talking about health. Just a couple of injuries. I mean, of course, we're getting to the end of the season. You have teams that are not going to make the NBA playoffs. So I know a lot of people that play fantasy basketball or people that are just fans of their teams in general like to know what's going on. So we talked about Ayton went down with a bad ankle injury for the Phoenix Suns. You saw him taken off with a stretcher. Then he was in a wheelchair. Then you saw him on crutches, so he's going to be out for a couple of games for them. And then also the Chicago Bulls shut down one of their main players. Name escapes me right now, but he's been shut down for the rest of the season. So as we get towards the end of the season, you're seeing some players that have bumps and bruises. We talked about it in our last show. Why risk injury? Why have those guys out in the basketball court playing in games that are kind of meaningless except for evaluation? And then, of course, when you're a team that's going to be in the playoffs, you want to have guys at 100%. I know you had a couple other names, too, Pat, as far as the injuries go.
Well, was it Valanciunas, I believe, was the injury, the one that I saw that I just saw today. So, yeah, that was the main one that I was going to mention was the Valanciunas injury because, with him going to the Grizzlies, who knows, they could have done something, so.
Yeah, you're true. He was definitely having a really good season with them. That trade to the Memphis Grizzlies might have been the best thing that happened to him. And it was Markkanen that got shut down by Chicago Bulls. The name just came back to me now. I'm like staring at my computer screen. I'm staring at a blank computer screen, and all of a sudden the blankness sparked my memory to remember the guy's name. So unless you got any other news and notes, Pat, I think that's going to be it for us this week.
Well, the only thing, and we kind of mentioned that we were going to talk about it, but we never did, the Kevin Durant thing.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can't leave without talking about that Kevin Durant thing. I mean, we saw what Curry said. We saw what they were saying about it. I mean, I saw it. I saw it. I didn't see it live, but when I saw it, the first part is, let's say this: when Durant swung around and when he shot that 3-pointer, that was if it's a foul, then that's continuation. That should have been that should have counted. I mean, that's just my opinion. Most people won't like my opinion on the other end. But Durant was kind of pulling down on he kind of was like leaning on him, kind of pulling him back. I get it. And the greatest thing I heard was the other day is if this was the NFL, the refs would have picked up the flag because it was the ball was thrown over his head. When I heard that, I was like, come on now. I mean, yeah, it was thrown over his head, but I think Durant was impeding Towns going to the basket. So I thought it was a good call. Most people aren't going to like me for saying that because everybody thought it was just a bogus call because it was thrown way over his head. But when the guy's trying to go up to get the ball and you kind of are like impeding his progress from going up, I think it's a good call. Yeah,
I think the foul call on KD on Towns, absolutely right. The not giving him the and one, the 3-point shot, garbage. Like any other referee in the NBA, any other game, that's an and one, game is over. Referee definitely blew that, and I hope we don't see that kind of issues in the playoffs. I mean, I'm always big. You and I both. We talk about it all the time. We don't want the officials to be the stars of the game. We want the players to be the stars of the game. So I pray that's not a preview of the kind of stuff we can see in the NBA playoffs. I mean, the NBA does a pretty good job of refereeing the referees, corny as that may sound. I hope that's a one-time thing. Something else I want to talk about that Warriors game. His name escapes me. Garbage, really, really bad play. I'll have to send you the video. But it was Steph Curry going for a 3-point shot. As he's shooting, a player from the Warriors not only kicks his ankle while he's in the air, but he also slapped his ankle as well while he's in the air. Talking about a guy that has a history of ankle injuries. Not just that. Who cares about his injury history? That's not basketball, man.
No.
If you can't stop me from making my shot by playing defense the right way, then you just can't stop me. But to do some Bush League crap like that, then let's say Steph Curry does land the wrong way. He's injured. He's out for a significant time, or God forbid, the rest of the season. For your non-playoff advancing team, come on, man. You got to do better than that. I think the league needs to look into it. I did not check on it, shame on me, to see if it's been addressed by the NBA. But I think if you watch the video, clear as day, I think a hefty fine should come down on that guy. Complete unnecessary. No room for that in the game, man. No room for that in the game.
I couldn't agree with you more. When you see these players and how fast they're coming down the court, and when they jump up in the air, and you see it from time to time, they jump up in the air, and a player kind of just like step to the side and kind of like knock them off their balance or whatever, and you see them fall. I mean, they're falling from up high in the air, especially if they're going up for a dunk. I mean, some of them players are eye level with the rim. Obviously, not very many, but
we saw Zion Williams just hit his head in the backboard.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy. But think about it. I mean, you're that high up, and you come down, and if you're coming down, and some guy pops your knee or pops underneath you, or is trying to box you out. I mean, it's just crazy watching the guys fall sometimes, and that's why you see the players get so upset, and that's why you see the scrimmages happen. I mean, you saw it the other day in the Wizards game with the Nuggets or whatever. I mean, Jokic got a double technical. It was kind of funny because he got the technical, and then the referee kind of looked at him and he goes, "Do you want to go? Do you want another one?" And he just goes, "Ah!" He goes, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, bye." It was, they slowed it down and showed it, and that's the only reason I said that. But I mean, hey, we all know what technicals can do to you in the playoffs. We all know what emotions can do to you in the playoffs.
Ask Draymond Green.
Yep, yeah. Right? I mean, who knows what's going to happen this year with him? I mean, if that team's going to be able to make that playoff push, he's going to have to keep his head too. And having him and DeMarcus Cousins, two guys that are known for being kind of hot-headed or known for losing control, that's gonna make an interesting game as well moving forward in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I can't stress enough. And I'm a guy who people know, Golden State hater, not afraid to say it. But if you beat the Golden State Warriors, beat them the right way, not with the help from the refs, not by undercutting Steph Curry or hitting his ankle and trying to injure him. Just unnecessary, man. If you want to win, let's win honestly and win the right way. Let's not win with, not that the Timberwolves had any kind of in with the refs. That's just not at all. But the refs need to make the right calls. And if they didn't know what the call is, that's what they got video for. Check the video. And then also the NBA's got to protect the players. We talked about fans and what they say. You also got to protect the players from themselves, apparently, as well. And we also wanted to mention the Boston Celtics also suspended that fan from attending any Celtic games for 2 years after it was found that he used a racial slur towards DeMarcus Cousins. So it's good to see that the NBA is taking this thing with Russell Westbrook and kind of expanding it and making sure these teams are doing the right thing as far as making sure that the NBA is a family-friendly environment where you can go to and the players aren't getting harassed at another level. I mean, you made a really good point in the last podcast. It's one thing to harass. It's one thing to talk about people's family, racial slurs, things like that. It's crossing the line for sure. And it's good to see that the league is shutting that down.
Yep. I mean, they had to do it. I mean, it's one of those things where if you don't do something, it becomes a trend. Once it becomes a trend, more people obviously are going to continue to do it. And who knows? Who knows what could happen? I mean, we all saw what happened, the malice at the palace. We all saw like how it can just get out of hand. And you don't know what's going to happen with one of these players, especially if somebody says something to him when he's already heated about something going on in the game. Think about it. You're in a game. I mean, dude, come on. When we play basketball, how many times have we yelled at just our own teammates, our own friends or whatever, like screamed at them, like, are you stupid? Like, you're just going off, and then you hear somebody say something like that? I don't know. I mean, it's only a matter of time before a player loses his control as well and goes out there and says, okay, well, let's do something about it. Or one of those guys that says, all right, meet me outside. One of them actually does meet them outside, and we actually get to, something actually does happen.
Yeah, and one thing I heard, too, from watching High Noon, Bahami Jones' show, is he said he's waiting to see at what point is a player going to hear something from a fan, whether it be racial, whatever, and tell his teammates we're not going back on the court until the team we're playing against or our own team takes care of that guy, and they point to the fan. Are we going to get to that point? Is it going to happen one game where somebody does something? Hey, Pat, that guy just called me the N-word, and you, me, and the whole squad, we're not going back out on the court until that's getting taken care of. Well, I can see that happening.
Well, I mean, I can see it happening, but I think that I'll say this. I don't think it'll happen because I think that people are taking it seriously to the point where when it does happen, that's what they do. They go right to the usher. They go right to somebody. whether they tell a coach, especially if they're on the bench, obviously they can go right to somebody. But if they're not, they're out on the court, they can't really stop play to go talk to somebody about it. But they're going right to the usher. And the usher's going right, whoever it is, security's going right over, and they're getting them out of there because it's also, it's the wave effect. One person does it in the crowd, another person does it in the crowd, and then it goes all the way around the stadium. And you can't have that, and you don't want to have that because it's not good for our game. You know what I mean? When I go to a basketball game, I want to enjoy myself. Yeah, of course. If I'm in Washington, of course, I'm decked out in my Wizards gear. I'm screaming, I'm jumping, I'm yelling. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But you just have to know how to control yourself, and I think that the league has done what they can to say, look, control yourself or don't show up, because if you show yourself and you don't control yourself, you won't be showing up anymore for a long time.
Yeah, true story. And you buying a ticket does not give you carte blanche to say whatever you want to say. One thing, too, I wanted to mention before we ended the show, tragic news we heard yesterday, Grammy Award winner, but more than that, man, this is a guy that poured a lot of money into his community, trying to create jobs for people, buying a lot of property in this neighborhood. Nipsey Hussle was shot and killed yesterday. This is a guy that could have taken his money elsewhere and built his restaurant or whatever kind of business he was building. He could have done it anywhere except this neighborhood. But he chose to do it in this neighborhood to give back, create jobs. Tragic loss of life, man. This guy was 33 years old. I mean, this guy's a father, a son, a dad, a husband to Lauren London, the actress we both know. So now, man, just a big void, and a guy who was really big in the NBA community. A lot of the West Coast teams, I know the Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, him and Isaiah Thomas really, really close. I mean, all over social media, you have people kind of giving their tributes to Nipsey Hussle. This is a guy that's been around in the hip-hop world for a really, really long time. Me, myself, personally, became a big fan last year. One of my friends kind of told me that the last album he put out was probably the best project he's ever done. Of course, me being the music fan I am, downloaded it, listened to it, really, really enjoyed it. A couple months go by, this guy's nominated for a Grammy, which you and I both know is no small feat. For you to get nominated for a Grammy, you got to be putting out some quality music. But he was much bigger than a hip-hop artist. So, I mean, just once again, not to make this a political show, but once again, another person gone too soon because of gun violence. You kind of hope this is the last one that you have to hear about. But unfortunately, it's kind of become the new norm here in America. So we definitely wanted to send our condolences to him and his family and his fans that you guys are going through it right now. Definitely a big part of the NBA, and like I said, a really big mainstay of the West Coast basketball teams.
You see, I honestly, until I saw it, of course, I watched the news and I see all the stuff on ESPN and everything else, but, for not knowing really much about the guy, I think it says a lot to see all the outpour of people that, in the NBA in general, I didn't realize how big he really was in the NBA. And, you see all the players and what they had to say. And, it really shows what type of person that he was. And I see, and I'm now seeing the involvement, like you said, that he had in the community and stuff like that. So, it is a shame. It is a shame when that stuff happens. There's nothing we can do about it as far as change anything, but to hear the people and the way they're doing it, it really does build up his name as well, and it really shows who he was.
Yeah, you just hope that somebody takes the mantle. I mean, what he was trying to do as far as improving his community, you hope somebody steps up, takes the mantle from him, and keeps on continuing his legacy so he doesn't die in vain. And you also kind of have to wonder at some point, you would think some of the laws as far as gun control and gun ownership, you would think at some point they gotta at least look at him. I'm not a politician. Not really my arena. I'm an NBA fan, a podcast host. But, I mean, if something keeps on happening over and over again, common sense is kind of tell me maybe we got to take a look at the way we're doing things and kind of rethink it. But I guess another topic for a different day and a different show. But we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to our playoff push. Once again, Patrick and I have been blessed. We're going to be on another network. Rebroadcasting our show as well, on top of the other platforms we're already on. We'll definitely share the details with you guys as we get more information as well. You got one more thing for me, Patrick?
Just one last thing.
He gave me the hold on finger.
Just one thing. I just wanted to mention it. We kind of went over it before, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Just wanted to say, Manute Bol's son, Bowl, Oregon, declares for the NBA draft. Don't want to forget about that. That's a big thing. We saw what he was able to do at Oregon this season, and for him to be in the NBA draft, that's big, and I wish him the best. A
lot better than his father, believe that. When this kid gets healthy, you're going to be surprised. He is not his dad when it comes to playing basketball. But that's going to do it for us this week, man. I am Joe Cardoza. He's Patrick Hillwig. Until we see you guys next week, peace.